Guys, welcome back. Wanted to do a quick weekly playlist update, right? So obviously you can see that we're kind of in this flag on the 4 hour, 30-minute chart, whatever time frame you're looking at. And it's pretty obvious, right? However, we could still go sideways in the flag, or we could, consolidate, go higher, and then break above and retest this previous area of resistance at 4,300, right? Or this could just be a pump off of support. We break the flag, right? And then we sell off further down. So obviously those are the two scenarios I'm watching. A break of 4090 would give me downside move, right? And a break over 4182 would give me at least 4,300. So it's kind of the primary scenario that I'm watching, right? This flag. And what I want to point out is this purple trend line that is acting as support all throughout you know, the sell-offs. And we broke it finally on May 6th. We came back, right? We retested, we failed, and again, we're trying to get over it. So a decisive break below 4060 would tell me that the market is likely to, make another low all the way to 3700, 3600, right? That is the most important breakdown that I am looking at. Alternatively, as I mentioned, we are probably looking at this flag, right? Till the flag breaks, either up or down, we're likely to, be choppy. So it's kind of my take on the market. With that being said, let's look at today's playlist, right? The first thing I have is AMD. And the reason for that is AMD on the daily, you can see that we're kind of in the sideways flag, right? Up, down, up, down, up, down, used as support and resistance. Now we're at the top of the flag, formed an inside day. So that's the reason I have AMD on here, that as long as, again, I still think we could go as high as 1112, right? To finish this wave 4 before we come back down. But that's why, this area, this flag could act as resistance before we come down to make a new low. And that's the reason, I have AMD on my list, right? Something else to monitor is this is the channel, right? This is the channel that is being used as support and resistance on AMD. So it has broken out of its downtrend. So if AMD, I'd say, the 200 days at 116, right? That would be like the max I would expect bulls to push. If the bulls can break through the 200 a day, then I have to flip my bias and consider that it's broken this downturn. However, this is looking like a giant blare frag to me, and I do think that AMD will sell off to come retest 75 at least. So that's the reason I have AMD on the playlist. The next one is MGM. I haven't brought this up in a few weeks, but we have seen this in the past, right? Where this was a 1 year flag on MGM. It broke down, and again, it's selling off further, lower high. So I do expect MGM to follow the same fate as AMD, where as long as it breaks below 34, we're likely to see, MGM break down and come make a new low. So that's kind of what I have on MGM. Let's look at the next one, which is MOS. So MOS is a little more interesting, right? Although I am bearish on it, I do think it could make a new high in the short term, right? It is in this pennant. So obviously, whichever way it breaks this pennant, right, that's the way it's going to move. So it's kind of what you have to consider. If it starts to break 57, then it's likely to come around to 46. However, if it starts to break over 64, let's say 61, right? Yeah, if it starts to break over 61, then it can definitely retest 66, 68. So it's kind of what I have on MOS. Right, kind of watch this pennant, see which way it breaks, and it should be able to make a nice move next week from that pennant. The next one is ZOM. So again, this is highly reliant on oil, right? I kind of want to go over the chart of oil because right now you can see this is kind of the sideways channel oil is in, right? And it's kind of broken out and moving higher. However, the thing with this is it can just as easily, right? This can be your B wave where it rejects the 0.236 fib, as you can see here, before it comes down for a C wave, just as much as it can, break out above. So I would want it to clear 121 before I think that it can go all the way to 140, 150, right? I can still see this bear thing play out, but as long as it clears 121, it should be smooth sailing back up to 140. So that's the reason I have ZOM calls, and you have to kind of play it with caution, right? It doesn't mean I'm bullish on oil, just means that it's possible for it to, break out and move above. If it starts to break back below 94, then as you can see here, it'll probably come retest 86 as well. So both bull and bear, ZOM should be able to make good moves. The next one I have is NEO. Right, so the reason for that is you can see this kind of a sideways channel that I have on NEO, and it's rejecting previous support, turned resistance, finally rejecting here. So I think it will, like this, as long as it stays below $20, I think it can start a wave 5 sell-off. It does have a gap to fill at 16.5, so NEO is the top of my short list. Similarly, if you don't want to play Neo, you can definitely play Lucid, right? You can see Lucid also is in this sideways flag channel. So you can see it try to break out until as long as it breaks back below this channel, it's likely to come retest the bottom of the channel. So it's kind of what I have for EVs. Tesla is another good example, right, of what's happening with EVs. You can see that it went back to reject the top of its channel, had a massive bearish engulfing, filled this gap lower. So any bounce, right, as long as Tesla stays below 734, I think will likely come down, make a new low. With that being said, let's look at BABA, something else. On BABA, this is the downturn resistance on BABA. It did break above, right? One of two things. It's either going to hold this and move higher, in which case you can play calls. But if it starts to break back, into the switch, then it's likely coming down to make a new low. That's kind of what I have for BABA. It's a good example of a Chinese play. Most of their Chinese stocks should follow along the same way. So it's kind of what I have for the market. Again, let's go over, ES, right? You can see that we're kind of in the sideways channel. As always, we probably, can pump above before we fill and come back down, or if we go to retest the top of the flag, we're likely to break out. So again, if you're kind of a risk averse trader, it's kind of a way to see which way this flag breaks, and then you can play the extensive move to the upside or downside. All right, thank you so much. I'll see you guys next session.